Hey folks, I've made a lot of videos on YouTube that discussed atheism as a response to theism, and particularly the focus on rationality. And since I've been on YouTube, I recognize that there are many atheists that look at rationality as very important, including myself. And there are quite a few that also understand the importance of irrationality. But by and large, I see a large group of folks in the atheist community that have an excessive, in my opinion, reliance on reason. To me, they are ideologues. And when I've talked about the unconscious or the collective unconscious, when I presented evidence for these entities, their minds were completely closed to reason. And there is a lot of good arguments for them and a lot of scientific evidence for these things. But they wouldn't listen because it was outside the realm of what they believed was in the rational world. And this is troublesome to me. Being an ideologue is like someone that plays chess and always puts their pieces in the middle of the board because they've learned that that's the best strategy. Sorry, the best tactic. Of course, it is some of the time, generally most of the time, until it's not. But they will not look at those options. And the way I look at things is certainly religion is irrational, and it's important to be rational and explain this and so forth. But I've always kind of counterpunched and looked at the fact that many folks take reason to an excessive extreme. And I was lucky to sort of stumble into, probably not, I was looking in that direction, into Antonio Damasio, because this really neuroscientist who looked at the relationship between emotion and reason to get a clearer grasp on how this stuff works. And of course, I did something called the Atheist Ad Contest, kind of like tooting my horn here, but it has to do with my psychology. I went on to YouTube and I said, wow, a lot of atheists are tone deaf or blind to the thoughts of theists, what would appeal to them, what would offend them. And actually, I think the result of that, in which someone created a brilliant ad that was offensive to a theist, kind of brought that out. And I was happy that happened. Some people picked that up. But anyway, what I'm sort of talking about here is that I recently, Philos 71 produced a brilliant piece of propaganda. And I said, hey, listen, let's create a challenge, an atheist inspirational challenge. To be clear, the idea is to create a response, a video response to Philos that is on an emotional level and not on an intellectual level. Now, what's interesting about this is that I want to kind of go backwards a little bit since I don't have this scripted, is that I believe that embracing rationality and irrationality is really a great way to go. And I'll get back to the Philos vid and atheist inspirational challenge in a moment. I mean, many people don't get the fact that reason floats above a sea of irrationality, of what might be called a primary process, and the higher rational functions are secondary. But the rational part is way small. And when you get intuitions, when you do problem solving, people that are really good at problem solving, in physics, Richard Feynman, in organic chemistry, synthetic organic chemists, they have ideas that spring into their mind, and it happens in writing and poetry. And where does it all come from? Sometimes it's all worked out. I had an instance where I had an incredibly long poem that was the best thing I ever wrote, that was completely done for me. All I did was just write it down. It was all created somewhere below. And this below part is a sea of symbols and emotions and reflections and connections, and it's fascinating stuff, and that's part of the whole consciousness thing. And I know I'm rambling because I just turned this on, but anyway, a couple more things. I had a response from someone that mentioned that, well, we're the good guys. We shouldn't use propaganda, except we do all the time. We use, in conjunction with reason, emotional language, emotional imagery, and sometimes we use almost pure emotion. Some people do get that, whether it's, they admit it or not. But the other thing is that, and I apologize for the lack of structure here, but this is just things on my mind. The other thing is someone said, well, we have all the answers. We've got the answers. Why should we appeal to emotion? Why should we not use reason? And what popped into my mind, and then I evaluated it with my rational mind and said, yeah, that makes sense, is that if reason is the top of the mountain, then some people that are at the base of the mountain can use reason to climb that. But people that are more distant from that mountain might need a different path to get to the base, the valley, before that mountain. And certainly that's something I believe that symbolism, metaphor, and emotion can do. And they don't have to appeal directly to the conscious mind. So anyway, that's the sort of thinking and stuff that's in my head regarding the Atheist Inspirational Challenge, is to create a video which appeals on an emotional level, not intellectual. But of course, we do this all the time. It's still an art, but it's quite an advanced art in advertising and, of course, in propaganda and political speech. And a lot of it involves a lot of statistics and polling. Although I wouldn't call it scientific. I don't think organic chemistry is scientific either, because even though there's lots of data, you can't make predictions in these areas, and that's, to me, accurate predictions, reliable predictions, and that, to me, is what science is. But there's a whole body of evidence about how the human mind works and how to persuade people. Remember, where I'm sort of coming at here is that I really believe that embracing rationality and irrationality on a fairly equal footing is a damn good idea. Now, rationality can keep you in bounds and keep you from believing in crazy stuff, but irrationality can provide inspiration. In fact, it's where inspiration comes from. Rationality is basically makes very small logical steps, and that irrational part can have you jump 20 or 30 steps ahead at once, and that processing is done at a different level, at a symbolic level, and then reason, of course, sits on top of that. So, now that I've said all that, boy, this is a rambling video. I've been tutoring all summer, and it's probably why I'm making this is so rambling. But I haven't worked this hard in at least a decade, probably much longer. And the truth is, I'm really fried, and this is my last week coming up. And I want to work on with a collaborator on my response to Philos' vid. But I'm going to take my time on this, mainly because I just don't feel like watching a lot of YouTube vids or making a lot of YouTube vids for a while, because I'm fried and I want to do some other things that are fun and different, and I'll have the time now. And so that's what I'm going to do, and this is my way of saying that I'm going to do it. Anyway, so, well, I guess that's about it. And I'm rating this video as, this is, I just like to get out there and do it. And I don't really think this is a tremendously great video, so thanks for putting up with that. But I'm probably going to be away for a little while, and some of you might miss me. But anyway, take care, folks.